phone call. So that was my
No, you're
bad.
good, bro. You're good. No, like, you're probably like the earliest guest we ever had. So
Okay.
that's one of the
Well, we
things.
made it.
Yeah. How you been though, bro?
Been good. Staying busy. Uh, so just keeping in touch with people, working on some deals. I've got one of my mentees, because I got that consulting company. I don't remember if we talked about that, but he just found a seller financeable 16 plex that he's probably gonna buy zero money down. So I'm pretty stoked for him.
Oh shit. You're gonna be involved in that, or is that just gonna be him?
I'll probably just help him do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to be involved in every deal. That's kind of my philosophy is like give more than I take. And I
Yeah.
don't know, there's gonna be so much money to make in the next 40, 50 years. I don't need to be on every 16 plex.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. I'm just surprised that like not a lot of people they'll probably think like the other way, like, oh, I should probably get in this deal because it's like it's a deal, you know what I mean? Zero financing, you said like 0% down. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's fucking awesome. Um, we're just waiting on a couple more. We're just gonna wait like another 3 more minutes until like the other guys come in. But yeah,
Cool.
we can start from there.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Mm. What's your schedule like now? Like that I know you after the BP podcast, like I bet a lot of people are hitting you up.
Yeah, I've messaged a few hundred people. I got more people to chat with. Today I got a phone call at 4 my time, and then I got a 5:30 to 6:30. Yesterday was really busy. Um, but tomorrow I'm back on the grind, helping a buddy of mine, another guy who just joined the mentorship stuff. He's gonna likely be buying an eightplex right next to my 12plex. I
Really?
Yeah, I could buy it. I looked at buying it, but I want him to buy it, get into it. So he's gonna buy that. That's seller financeable as well. So we'll hook
Yeah.
him up and yeah, just grow the network.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Um, but yeah, I'll tell you what we do here. Like I call this it's like the podcast Nova University. I'll add you to the whenever we upload it. But basically we talk about finances, self improvement for younger guys from ages 16 to like 26 years old. You
Love
fit in
that.
that range too, so that's awesome, and we like to hear like basically
Love it.
everything about you, right? Uh, some of our guests, like past guests, are like real estate agents. One of them did Airbnb arbitrage. He went from welfare to 300 doors. We had another one. He's really big into like cryptocurrency and talked a lot about that. Basically, we're just gathering like information from a lot of people and like what these young guys can take out of that because at school in high school or like in general in life we're not taught finances or self-improvement. You should be doing this or that, so that's what we base this whole podcast about.
Cool.
Yeah, so you know what, we're just going to get started right now. We're recording, so again, welcome, Cody. So we're going to start with the first question, right? How did you get started, right? Let's say, when did you get that mindset that, hey, I want to start doing real estate and all that? When did you start doing that?
Yeah, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad at a young age. Random chance. One of my mom's old friends, ex relationship, ended up coming into our life, and I'm friends with him today. He's an awesome individual, but he ended up giving me that book when I want to say 14 years old. And so I read that, got super stoked, realized that I was 14 and couldn't buy anything. And so I put the book back down for a handful of years. But that was my first kickoff to real estate.
Yeah. So what did you do when you were like 14 to like when did you start doing stuff? Like during that range, what did you start doing? Because
I
I know that
started,
I'm sorry. I know that a lot of guys are in that sense where, well, I'm 16, I'm 14, what can I do? What did you start doing after you awakened that mindset?
well, I really didn't do anything. I put the book back down and picked it up at 18. And then I got my real estate license at 19.
19, okay. You didn't why didn't you choose college?
I went to college for 2 quarters and then dropped out. I went to a community college. I got accepted to one of the more prestigious colleges in the area, but I was going to go for kinesiology. I wanted to be a chiropractor or physical therapist. I was like, I don't want to commit 7 years of my life to this. So I went to community college for business. And I realized that there's operating in theory and then there's practical application. And a lot of the people there were operating in theory. So I dropped out and got started in real estate.
Yeah, that's like the whole mindset where like instead of like going into getting a degree into business, why don't you just start doing business? You know what I mean? I guess that's what you interpreted when you were there.
Yeah.
Uh, while you were growing up, did your parents like tell you, hey, you should probably go to college, you should probably do this?
Yep.
Uh,
I'm
how
the
would you?
first person in my family to not do the college route.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did your parents feel about that? Because I know a lot of guys here, like they're aiming for college because that's what they've been programmed to do throughout their whole life. What would you say about that?
Well, I mean, my parents weren't happy with it in the beginning and they didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. So they couldn't really resonate. But at the end of the day, they wanted me to do what I wanted to do and they were willing to support that. So I have very supportive parents, but they were not happy. And it took a lot of conversations and took a lot of convincing for them to get on the same page. And until I bought my first property, they still weren't on the same page because they didn't know that it was going to work. Because no one has really done what I was trying to do to the extent I was trying to do it. So, um, great parents, but they can't see the same vision. So I had to
Yeah.
see that for myself before they did.
Yeah. And a lot of these guys, they have that understanding that what these guys have to understand that you can't always be a people pleaser. You know what I mean? Like your parents will be proud of you for doing what you believe in and then you actually trying to be successful in it instead of doing something that you don't like doing it and half-assing it the whole time. So
Right.
you're 19, you got your real estate license. What happens after that?
So I started learning about more of the transactional stuff. I worked at a brokerage that prioritized having good paperwork, being organized, setting up your daily routine and activities, and they focused on investments. So I got to learn more and more about running the numbers and how to communicate with people. The brokerage paid for stuff like Cardone University, which taught me how to communicate, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. It was more of that sales, the ability to just know what to say
Yeah.
when someone throws up an objection. So I started honing in on my sales skills, and then later that year, I ended up buying my first building.
Okay. Can you tell us what the process was when you first like how'd you find that property and what you do with that after that?
Yeah, the first property I bought was on the MLS, and it had been on the MLS for I thought it was 561 days. I looked back at it yesterday. It was 551. So I was on almost 2 years and just sat there, never went off the market. So called them up and talked to them about seller financing because they had it listed. I wanted to know what they wanted. They wanted 20% down. I said I couldn't do that. We did 15 and then later into the transaction renegotiated to 10% down and I borrowed the down payment from someone that to this day I've never met.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
God. How'd you make okay, two questions here, all right? Let's go with the seller financing first, right? How'd you convince them to like negotiate about seller financing? Because from my experience, it's usually the old people, right? You tell them, hey, let's do seller financing, which means that you don't have to pay taxes and you get all the cash flow. You know what I mean? So like, how did you like negotiate with the person to do sell? How did you convince them to do seller financing with you?
Well, these guys wanted to do it for tax purposes. I mean, this was the textbook deal
Mhm.
and it was on the MLS. And so just they had it listed as a little term that
Yeah.
was available. And so I just had to see what they really wanted. And then we did that and went from there.
Okay. And with the partner, right? You say you never met him. So how did you like, get enough money? I mean, how did they trust you enough to give you that money to be like, hey, I believe in you, do this. We never met each other, but here
Well,
you go.
whatever the objection is, you should use that as your fuel to move forward. So the way that it was structured is if I couldn't pay them back, they get the property.
Yeah. Okay. So you put like a little collateral there.
Mhm.
Okay. And was it all formal or was it like, hey, like were you guys cool with each other?
No, it was all formal. Everything was formalized. Best business practices are good to follow, even in the beginning,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning.
And did you have a contract for that as well? Like a partnership
Yep.
agreement? Okay. Did your own lawyer do it for both of you or was it mutual lawyers? I'm guessing.
It was their attorney.
Oh, okay. Okay. And from there, right? You're doing seller financing. This was all you, right? All by yourself. Or is there anybody else going with it's your partner as well, right? You guys are both in there doing the seller financing on the apartment. And are you
Yeah,
Airbnb that or what are you doing with that apartment?
just renting it out, and I'm actively. We have docs drafted right now. Uh, I'm cashing out my partner um, this week, actually.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for docs to be signed, and then those buildings that and the second 12-plex are just going to be solely mine at that point, which will be pretty nice.
That's awesome. And when you were doing the calculations, I'm guessing you did the calculation on the BP calculator, I'm guessing. No, you didn't.
No,
What you do? How'd you do the calculations with the rent and all that? Because honestly, for like someone just starting off with the 12-plex, right? It's a little, you have to calculate everything, and um, calculating like the rent for each of the rooms, like calculating the location, the expenses, right? Like you're getting a commercial loan, which is a lot more complicated than
it
a
was seller
regular.
finance, so it
Oh
wasn't
yeah, yeah,
commercial.
forgot. Yeah, my bad, my bad. You sell in finance. So, what was the process of like getting the rent? Do you use like Renometer and like find the average rent for that area?
No, I mean I was buying my first deal, so I just looked at the leases and I made sure that the income was greater than the expenses.
Mhm.
Double, triple checked, and then I checked again, and then I checked again, and I finally got the confidence to do it.
Okay. And now let's say, okay, did you start renovating it as well when you got in
Nope.
there?
Nope. It was a beautiful complex as is.
Oh, okay. Damn. So nobody wanted to get it in like 2 years. That's crazy great. And was it all already fully uh
Fully leased and
fully
stabilized. It was great. I mean, it was next to Microsoft. The piece about that deal is it was in a smaller town that nobody knew about, and it only had like 7,600 people. And I was like, well, let's look at the trends. Everything was going up, the income was great, and people like living there. It was just a simple town. And today, it's it's in the last 2 years, it's gone from 7,600 to close to 9,000. So it's growing.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy because it's like a turnkey now. It's like almost like a turnkey for you.
Yeah, and people didn't have the confidence in the market, and I didn't have the experience to be afraid of buying a small market, and I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just go do it. I don't really care about anyone else's opinions. Worst thing that happens, realistically, is that I lose that property. But
Okay.
I already didn't have it at 19, so I mean, it's not like it's a negative. I'm gonna learn from it either way.
Yeah. And so what's your uh now one of the questions that these guys were asking, like, okay, you are up here compared to other 21-year-olds, right? So what is your schedule looking like compared to like other people? What do you do all day?
I look at my calendar and I go where it tells me to go when it tells me to be there.
Okay.
People book my calendar. I'm always one text away. I have a lot of conversations with people every day, but I text back in 2 to 3 minutes. So um, I like just uh, Friday, I booked 10 meetings for this weekend that I didn't have prior. Like people just
Right.
text me, hey, can we meet up? Done. So I had like 6 meetings yesterday and four today. Um, that's what happens. Like I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have three meetings booked, but there'll probably be 10 or 12. Uh, all day I'm just meeting with people, cultivating relationships. I'm trying to learn how people have done what they've done. Because while you mentioned them up here,
Yeah,
I'm still at the bottom of the food chain on this game because this isn't about an age thing. This is about a life game, right?
of course.
Everyone is at a different point in their life cycle. Even if you're the same age, you can be at a different point in your life cycle based on how you grew up. I had a meeting with someone just a minute ago, right before this, who was purposefully homeless to learn what people went through and how they were treated so that he could cultivate something for helping out that cause in the future. He did that when he was 21. He was at a point where he could actually go do that, where I can't afford to do that because of where I put myself in my business. So getting to learn from other people's experiences, regardless of age, just know that everyone's at a different point. Um, that is what I'm doing every day.
Mhm.
I don't have to just go buy properties. I can go meet with people that have been investing for 40 years, and now I can compress 40 years of their knowledge into a handful of meetings. And that to me is more important than anything, any of the real estate that I own. It's more
Yeah.
valuable.
So it's people's business, right? That's what you value the most.
Yeah.
So what is your mental process when it comes to real estate? Are you thinking of like, oh, I'm trying to get as many houses as I can, or is it like, hey, I'm trying to get these many houses, these many properties, just so I can have financial freedom? Is your goal financial freedom or something else?
Well, I mean, what are the houses for, right? What are the apartments for? Some people set goals for unit count. They're like, I want to have 40 rental houses, or I want to have a 4 unit apartment complex. I want to have $10,000 a month. And it's easy to burn out on that goal because it's just a number. I can stay driven because my goal, like, I want to retire my mom this year, take care of her mortgage. So I have to do the math to back that target. Instead of aiming for a cash flow goal, I have to aim for a goal of, okay, I'm gonna retire my mom. That keeps me motivated. And then I do the math. It's like, okay, I need to make 10 grand a month. How do
Mhm.
I do that? I stabilize what I've currently done and I'm there. And then I can take care of her. So I work backwards from whatever the real estate and the passive income's actually for.
Okay. That's awesome because now you're looking at the goal and now you're subtracting back from that. Is that
Mhm.
right? And you
Yeah,
said
you
you're
reverse engineer.
reverse engineering. That's the word right there. And is this all for you're doing this for your mom as well, right? Uh,
Yeah.
has this always been like, so what would you say? You know, you read Grant Cardone, 10X rule, right? Something
Yep.
that is, what happens after you do achieve that freedom for your mom and yourself as well? What would be that next big 10X goal that you would have?
Well, the piece that I figured out is that it's if I can kind of share a little story before I jump into that.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I found that there's really three pieces to the people business, and I want to share this because I think it will help folks out on this call. The first piece is relatability. If you think about yourself, you draw a little circle on a piece of paper and you put yourself in the middle, it's your universe. Everything around you is a culmination of things that have brought you here. And that can be categorized in a relatability section. The things that make you relatable are the things that have brought you to today. It's everything you've been through. And then on the flip side of that, you got one other sector that's your targets. And the targets are where you're going. So you think relatability, where you came from, targets are where you're going. And then the last sector, there's three of these, is significance. Why does it actually matter? And based on your relatability, based on what you've been through in the past, people will talk to you. That's why we're talking today, because what I've been working on works. It's worked for me. It's worked for people that I've met and helped do this. And so now we get to do an exchange because we are all wanting to do something like that. We can relate. And all the guys on this call are going to be able to go do something similar if they apply this. The targets are what allow people to want to work with me. I have to still present the idea. I still have to sell it, get people on board. They're like, okay, that makes sense, right? I have to sell it. but at least I have a target. Now people can work with me to go somewhere. And then the real power behind it is the significance. Why does it matter? Because now when I can share the significance, I don't have to sell my idea. People just buy into what I'm doing. People buy into who I am, what my mission is, and I just present an idea and people are sold. And I don't mean sold in the bad way. I mean, like, they are on board. Like, they just love it. And so you mentioned, like, what am I gonna do when my mom's taken care of? I'm not the only person on this planet that worries about their mom
Of course.
financially. And so I'm going to go put the resources together to where I can help people that had split parents, that divorced when they were young, that watched financial struggles, that didn't, like, I quit playing soccer because I thought it was too financially of a burden on my family. And I'd been playing for, I think, I don't even know, 11 years. I love soccer, and I thought I was getting pretty good at it, but I quit because of the money. And so I know there's other people out there that go through similar problems and challenges. And if I can be a source of stability, which I can't be that for people yet because I haven't yet done it for myself. I've gotten the property to stabilize it this year. I can go do that next year. But if I can go be the stability for the next family, the next Cody or the next Jack or the next person, whoever it is, so that they can take care of their mom, that's the significance behind my story. So that is what I am working towards. Because if I can do it for myself and I can do it for my family, I know for a fact that there's things I can share with other people that can elevate them so that they can do the same for their family. And it doesn't just have to be their mom, it could be their dad. Some people don't have parents in this situation, so maybe it's a brother or sister, or maybe it's them. But I know if I can do this for myself, I can share this with other people and it can elevate them in some way, shape, or form. That's what's next for me once I can accomplish my goal for this year.
Okay, that's an awesome goal.
All right.
That is an awesome goal.
All right,
And
now, hold on.
go ahead, Dev.
Cody. I'm Devin, by the way.
Hey,
Nice
Devin,
to meet you. Nice to meet you, man.
nice to meet you.
You were talking about relatability earlier, right?
Yep.
So I was wondering, what other characteristics do you need to be successful in your field, or that you can further develop to be more successful in your field?
Yeah, I mean, to be successful, are you talking about just in real estate, or are you talking about as an agent, or
Real estate.
you just got to be committed to building connections. Nobody in this space is doing what I'm doing, and the fact that I'm not calling someone to buy their stuff. I'm calling them to learn how they did what they did.
Mm,
Did I freeze?
Yeah, you did.
yeah.
It looks like I froze.
Yeah, you did freeze.
Ah, I
You're
froze.
good
Dang
now.
it.
Oh, you're
All
back.
right.
You're back.
My internet, that's my bad.
Oh, you're freezing again, but you're good though. You're good.
Yeah. We can still hear you though.
Yeah. Was that your question, Dev?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my question. I
Hey
did have
guys,
another one.
you
too.
guys can raise your hand.
Oh,
You can ask questions.
man.
Pop it,
I'm
Cody.
so, all right. That happened on my last call once, so hopefully that's not going to happen again. That's my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Again, guys, there's like an option in the Zoom where you can raise your hand and then that will allow you to ask questions. But Dev, you say you got another question
So
as well?
Devin,
Yes.
back to your question, man.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine, man.
You
Good to
you
go.
you gotta just go out into the you gotta go out into the marketplace and build relationships. No one is calling up people. No one's sending letters saying, "Hey, I saw you on this 12-plex. I'm actually not looking to buy it." Sharing a little bit about their story and asking to book a meeting to learn how they did what they did. Right. So when I reach out to people, I'm trying to book a meeting because the more that I learn from people and how they did what they did, the sooner I can go and retire my mom. I am asking for help. There will always
So,
be, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify. So instead of you selling your business, you're selling yourself.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm asking for help. Some people want, and I got criticism on this from some of the YouTube comments on the Bigger Pockets podcast. They're like, must be nice to have all this help. I'm like, heck yeah, it is. I'm asking for help. I don't want to do this by myself. That would
Yeah,
suck.
yeah. Hmm.
The other side of it, like when I tried doing it by myself, I lost my hair twice. I don't know about you guys. I like keeping my hair on my head. It fell off.
Damn,
If you don't
man.
believe me, I can send you guys photos when my hair all fell off
I would
because
love
I
to
got
see that.
so stressed out that it decided it did not want to be on my head anymore. It was like, you're alone on this ride. So it's hard.
Hmm.
It's very hard. And you should not do this alone. That's why I always say yes to doing these meetings. Because I got a message from someone earlier that is having issues. They just got out of a domestic abuse. It was a very bad relationship and trying to take care of their kids. And she's asking for help. She's like, I know you're busy, but do you have time? Always. Right. If you guys have questions, always available because you, people say you can do it alone. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right.
Hmm.
Ask for
Yeah.
help. And there's going to be people that will give it to you. There's a point in people's lives where they have more money than they have time. I don't know if not everybody has this experience, but if you've been blessed to have grandparents and you offer to pay for food, like I offered to pay for food when I saw my grandparents once, and they wouldn't let me put in the card, right?
Hmm.
They have more money than they have time. And it's not even like they have a ton of money. It's just you don't have a ton of time. So there's people that own properties that are the same way, that more so than the money, they want to help the next generation. They want to teach you, and then the best gift you can give them is to go apply what they shared.
Mm.
I agree
That's
with
how I'm
that.
doing what I'm doing. That's it.
And a lot, it
Secret
comes,
sauce.
it also comes to like the ego thing as well, because a lot of guys are like, wait, I can do this all by myself. I don't need your help. You know what I mean? And they're like, but they don't scale as faster with like a partner or someone like that. And they get discouraged because again, if you read Ryan Holiday's book about egoist enemy, you understand that you have to go against your ego. You know what I mean? Asking for help. That's not a, like you said, it's not a bad thing. It's actually the most like courageous thing you can do, because you're speaking from your heart and your mind, saying like, hey, this is my passion is real estate. I want to help my mother. Can you help me out with that? No. And people are like, wow, he's telling the truth. And yeah, I can definitely help you with that.
And what's your actual mission, right? Because like what are you doing? Why are you doing it? If if your goal is to truly help family, or if you want to help out, you know, in a community, like why would you want to take a longer period of time to do that just to say you did it on your own? To me, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I could do it on my own. Hey, mama, I'm gonna do this in 10 years instead of 2 because I don't want help. How, like, I can't justify that.
Yeah.
So I I don't want to do it on my own. And to do that, I have to get really good at storytelling, and I have to get really good at connecting with people. And you do that through stories.
Yeah, that's 100% relatable and agreeable right there. And when it comes to the people around you, Cody, how do you deal with like your friend group or like the 5 people around you? Because I know like um, a lot of these young guys, right? They're surrounded by people like, yeah, they used to play basketball, like soccer, right, with his friends, but now his friends doing drugs, doing the like he's drinking alcohol, partying all night. Like, what would you say, like those type of people around you, and like, how do you get? I guess how do you find that those better those good? What makes a good friend in a way, right? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, good friends. don't necessarily have to have the same targets as you. That's why they're a friend, not a clone,
Mhm.
right? They don't have to be the same. If I have friends who do drugs and I have friends who drink a lot of alcohol, I don't do either of those things. I mean, we'll drink on occasion, but I'm not the party type. And I've got friends who go to college and they party every night. Yeah, you're going to be a culmination of the people that are around you. However, more so than that, it's not like you're marrying your friends. If you're disciplined and you know why you're doing what you're doing, yeah, I mean, being around the right people is important, but if you're really that disciplined and you know why you're doing what you're doing, a good friend is someone who will just lift you up regardless of what they have going on in their life. They could be doing drugs, they could be going through a tough time. I've had friends who are homeless and I've worked with them. You know, they get a little bit of money saved up and I make them pay off their debt. And then they got to go figure out how to get some more money so they can pay their bills. And, I'm willing to be that guy for them. And now they're out of it. So a good friend is someone who's going to lift you up and be there just through good and bad. And if they have different habits, if they're doing drugs, I mean, if you want to do that, you can. I'm not going to recommend it, but you can have friends who do different things than you, and that's fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like separating your fun friends with your business friends, that's a definitely go. Not a lot of guys they understand like, oh, I'm trying to force my friends to do this thing, but you can't force anybody to do anything, right? So that's why I always recommend like, hey, if you're gonna have fun, go with your friend group. But if you're gonna do business, go with your business friends because not a lot of your friend guys like the way you want your friends to be is like they can't change you, but they can help you. But you can't also change them and like force them to do something different unless they want to change. And going back to your original thing, Cody, about meeting with people, right? You say you do meetings all the time with people.
Mhm.
From my point of view, from my like, it helps, right? Meeting with people, right? But what would you say, like, should you be catching up with them every week and every month? Like, how do you go about that? Because I'm not trying to be annoying with them, right? Like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to take something from you. I just want to, I don't know, be friends with you. I guess. How do you turn that from meeting with each other once to like becoming friends at the end? How do you do that?
I mean, I just lay out what I'm looking to accomplish.
Okay.
If someone wants to be a friend, say, hey, look, I want to be your friend.
Hmm.
People overcomplicate stuff. Simplify it. Tell people the truth.
That's honestly that's the truth right there. Yeah, just talk the truth. And does like meeting with them once always like does that work out with you, or are you still like texting them like FaceTiming them? Like, what do you do with your I guess people that you're trying to do business with? I guess.
I mean, I just try and stay involved. I don't talk to everybody every month.
Mhm.
I don't talk to everybody every week, but I let them know that I'm thinking about them. If I'm in town, I'll try and grab coffee with them. And if they're not available, at least I showed that I tried, right? They think of me a little bit like, oh, well, we didn't connect, but hey, we met up or we didn't meet up and he tried to meet up. I mean, at least there's a thought, right?
Yeah,
It's the thought that counts. So it's a touch point of connection.
yeah, and that's 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 agreeable right there. Do you ever feel like someone is like is ever using you or anything like that in a way
Yeah.
like okay. Yeah, are you like because let's say there's I know there's some people that are like they put 100% into their friends into the people that are close to them, but they never get that same back, right? You give them 100%, but they give you back 25%. What would you say about those
Or they give you
relationships?
zero.
Yeah, all they can give you is zero. So would you knowing you the type of person you are, Cody, you would I feel like you would still keep going with that, right? You would still give your 100% no matter what. Is that true, or would you be like,
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta cut ties?
why should I drop the energy just because someone else did it? Right?
Yeah,
That doesn't help anybody. If I'm going to put energy into something, why just drop it after 5 months?
Mhm.
Put in so much energy for so long just to quit. That wouldn't make sense to me. So some people are going to say otherwise, and that's fine. But that said, that's not how I operate. So I will always continue to stay in touch.
Nice. Josh here has a question. Go ahead, Josh.
Let's roll.
All right, so can you guys hear me?
Yeah, a
Yep.
little bit.
All right, first of all, I want to say sorry I was a little late. Nice to meet you, Cody. I'm Joshua. I'll pop
Hey,
the mic.
Joshua.
All right,
Nice
so
to
I
meet you.
got one question for you. My question is, if you were required to restart, right? Restart
Mhm.
everything. 17 years old. You're a month away from being 18. Someone hands you $8,000. What are your first few steps?
What are my first steps, or
Yeah.
what would your steps be? Like if I was in your position, because I didn't get 8 grand at 18, um, and my goals are probably a little different than yours. So
It's true.
I mean, I can share with what I would do, but I could also flip that. Are you wanting this from the perspective of you?
Yes. Yes.
What's your goal?
My goal, one of my big goals is to be financially free and
Why?
retire. Why more? I want to spend more time doing things I enjoy, like talking to people, my family. I want to spend less time at a desk.
Okay. So I would take the 8 grand and invest in building your skills. You can compound your skills forever. Let's say you get lucky and you get a deal, right? You go buy a property. If you, okay, there's an element of luck in it, like right place, right time. Granted, you got to be working on this a lot, but you get a deal. If it's not repeatable, because every deal is a little different, then you can feel stuck. And yeah, you got your first deal, you get a little momentum, get a little confidence, but if you don't have the skills to back it up, you can't repeat it. It's very difficult. So I would manage that money to go build your skills. It's probably not going to happen in a college,
Yeah.
but I would just work on the ability to communicate effectively with people, be able to have a conversation. Uh, I used to be the person who was afraid to go up to the cashier and order food. My mom would say, if you want food, go order it. And she'd give me the $5 that it would cost, but I wouldn't go do it. I would just sit there because I was so afraid to talk to people. And I had to overcome that. Now you're probably better off than I was in that position. But that said, this is a journey where you got to really build up a lot of confidence and a lot of skills in yourself to go communicate and understand what people are really looking for, what people tell you, and what they actually mean is usually quite different. And so if you can figure out how to communicate and really get people to share what they really wanted to share but were too nervous to, you can go a really long ways. You can get a lot of opportunities that other people don't get. So I would figure out how to convey who you are, what your story is, where you're going, right? The drill we talked about earlier, like your relatable points, what your targets are, and the significance behind that. If you can effectively communicate that with people, then you're set. I wouldn't go blow all the money on that, but I would invest some of it into figuring that piece out.
And Cody, whenever you said like you had that issue like communicating with people, and you said I know you recommended you said you did a sales program thing, right? That helped you communicate with people more. I know a lot of guys, they do Toastmasters as well. What else would you recommend for those that are kind of like they're introverts and they're trying to become what's the opposite of introvert? An extrovert.
Extrovert.
Yeah, an extrovert, right? So they're trying to become an extrovert by talking to people, because in this day and age you have your computer. Most of the people they know, like most of the young guys that they know, they play on Xbox and PlayStation. They don't know them like in real life. So like, how would you recommend uh, going from an introvert to an extrovert? What would you do?
We'll have awkward conversations. That's what I did. Just go talk to people. I learned how to communicate this, and I practiced a lot of these skills with Starbucks baristas. I wasn't a huge coffee drinker, and my clients that I started meeting with and learning from were. So I would just go grab the coffees. I would try having a conversation. I'd blow some of them, and they just look at me funny, and then I'd never meet that person again.
Really?
What?
The baristas.
Okay.
I'd never meet the baristas again. So I got to practice just having conversations, being confident, asking questions, and that's what took me from where I was to where I'm at today. Is just why not practice and communicate with people that I'm never going to see again?
That's true. Because what I like to do with a bunch of guys that I help out with, I like we'll go out of state, right? Let's say they live in Pennsylvania. We'll go to New York, right? I'm like, hey,
Yep.
how about you go talk to that girl, right? You're never ever gonna see her ever again. So
Yep.
tell her what you think and ask her out. The worst thing that can say that 9 out of 10 times she's gonna say no, but it's just that confidence boost that you're gonna build up of communicating with people. And what you learn from there, you just come back home and you're like, wow, it wasn't really that bad. Like I probably take my skills to people around me now and help them out with what I learned from that. And Cody, for your resources, right? Like, do you have a team with you right now, or is it just yourself? Do you have like an assistant or anything like that?
My business partner's name is Christian. He's the bearded guy on YouTube with me.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, we're working together.
All right. What's your YouTube
So
channel so these guys would know?
I could put a link in here. It's just
Yeah.
Cody and Christian. Cody and
Cody.
Christian multifamily strategy, but that's a smaller channel. But the goal is just to share, what we can't share on bigger pockets. Like there's a lot that you can't share in an hour.
Yeah. That's a yeah. You're right about that. And
I just
do you use anything like Google Ads or Prop
Nope.
Stream, something like that? You just use the
Nope.
MLS?
Google Maps is my go-to.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever use MLS? Do you still use MLS or no? You
Yep.
just okay. That's and I'm guessing like are you gonna get a property manager for your 12 unit or it's just gonna be I know you're managing your own thing. So
I started my own property management company, so I've got someone on full-time payroll now, and which I love. Like I get to help take care of someone's family now, which is really, really cool to me.
yeah,
Um, but she's a phenomenal human being.
nice. And how did you find that employee?
She was working at another company, started talking with her, and got her to leave that company and to work with me and Christian. So it's a communication game.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. Now, are you gonna scale up with that or are you cool with having one right now?
It will scale. It's not there though. I mean, it's businesses and properties, they're like babies, and you feed them too much, they'll die. And if you do it too quickly, and if you don't feed it enough, then it'll also die, which kind of unfortunate. So you got to figure out the middle ground of what's growing too quickly, what's growing appropriately. Because if you scale too fast, you put too much cash flow pressure. Like, I got to produce now. I got to go get this revenue to pay for all these people, which is wonderful until you run out of money. But if you don't hire on people, then you're forced to sell your time in the business, and then that takes away from your other opportunities. So you really just got to find that right balance, but it will scale up over time.
Yeah. And can you go over like the partnerships and what you do with Christian? Because a lot of these guys are they're born in that mindset where like I'll do a partnership with you, cool, but later on, like 10 years, they're afraid that because most of the partnerships that these guys know is word based, right? They don't understand that there's a contract that you can do. So can you speak over the legal part of it, where it's like, how does the contract, like, what kind of contract is it? Like, how does that work with your partnerships?
Sure. Yeah, so we work with an attorney that's local to us. We put together an operating agreement for the LLC, and that outlines what we're doing. That outlines the mission and the goal of the company, how the books are going to be run, what the ownership is for profitability, and it outlines the business plan, and then legally who does what. And if we need a buyout, then we put in a buyout clause for that company. We have different companies today. It's not just one.
Mhm.
So we got a consulting company, we've got a property management company, we've got the companies that own the real estate, and all of them are a little bit different.
Okay.
So they're all different. But that said, everything's in writing. You don't do handshakes in this business, unfortunately. And a little lesson I learned when I was younger, when I was 19, was you want to be able to trust the people you're doing business with, but you ought to have paperwork so you don't have to trust them.
Yeah. You don't have to, you want to have that peace of mind.
It's like I genuinely trust the people I work with,
Yeah.
but I don't want to have to trust them. So I make sure that everything is done, because if one of us dies, it doesn't matter the trust that we had together. Now they got to deal with family, or they got to deal with the wife and or the husband, and it's just good to document everything.
Yeah. And with all the documentation, is it, you never do a hand, like your own self, you do with a lawyer and all that, with your attorney?
Yeah, I don't write it up. I mean, leave that stuff to the professional. It'll cost you $300 to $500, but there's a price today and a cost tomorrow if you do bad business. So it sucks to write a $500 check or $1,000 check, but if it costs you $500,000 in the future, then you're kind of like, well, that was dumb not doing that. And that what I just described to you has happened to me. So when I say it's worth doing it the first time, it's worth doing it the first time,
Yeah.
because it can cost you a lot of money in the future if people don't do what they said they're going to do.
Yeah. What
Mm.
would be a tip, like that one tip that helped you be like, wow? Because a tip for me would be like, you can actually write things off for your business. I didn't know that. That was like a big wow to me. What would be a big wow to you? I guess a tip.
Just because it makes money doesn't mean it makes sense.
Mm.
You got to really think about that. We got friends who are buying these digital salmon, and they're buying these NFTs. They're like, I just made a bunch of money. I'm like, cool. I didn't really care. That's not repeatable indefinitely, and this is new. You don't know for a fact that this is going to work forever. So why not focus on the thing that's been around forever? You mentioned your mission was real estate. Why are you dabbling in this just to make some money? And then they're like, well, I need money to get started. I'm like, well, I had $3,000 for my first deal and I didn't even spend it. So I don't know who's telling you that, but they probably don't own real estate. You got to qualify who you're getting advice from. Number one, it's really important. Joshua, what's up?
I think you just
Huh?
left this question there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad. I think I just
Yeah, yeah, he's good. Oh, Devin has a question though, right?
Oh, real quick, do you need money to start real estate investing?
No, I had $3,000 to my name and I didn't even spend the money.
Okay.
Most people are going to say you need money. My point is it doesn't have to be your money, but there are actually opportunities where you don't need money.
Hmm. Interesting.
Could you provide us like an example of such opportunity, like what happened to you?
Yeah. 12plex, purchased it for $1,125,000. Seller wanted 20% down. I said no. Eventually we negotiated 10% down. Then you're like, well, that's $112,500. Cody, you told me you bought a zero money down. I borrowed the down payment from an individual that I still to this day have not met. someone in the office had an investor they connected me with and made the pitch, and boom, money. And granted, I flopped a lot of those pitches. Like there was a lot of pitches that I failed. However, that said, after botching those meetings, this person I didn't actually meet, and phone calls, and they said yes. So they fronted the money, and if I failed to pay them back, they got the property.
Mm,
I paid them monthly. It was a loan. So it cost me no money out of pocket, and I got a 12-plex. And what did that do for me? It built my confidence, and then I went and did it again. Exactly the same way. Another 12-plex.
mm.
This place was a hunk of junk, but it made a lot of money, and I'm making it much nicer today. But I bought it for 680, 120 grand down here in Washington State. Today it's worth closer to $1 million. And the 120 grand down, I borrowed 125. I actually got paid 5 grand to buy that thing. I borrowed more than the down payment. And I put that money in the bank so that I had a little bit of money to pay for things that popped up. Third deal, bought for 380. It was a 6-plex. I know these prices sound ridiculous. They were ridiculous. They had an offer closer to 500 grand, and they sold it to me because of my story. When I tell you the story matters, it matters. They could have made more money, but they had more money than they had life left, and they wanted to help the young guy out. So they sold it to me for 380 at a discount, 90 grand down, borrowed the 90. I've since paid that back out of the property. But I bought all that with no money. My 38-plex bought for $2 million, 300 grand down, borrowed the 300. And then you're like, well, Cody, where are you borrowing all this money from? I don't have anybody in my sphere that has this money. And neither did I. My first deal, I got help. And I remember I didn't and still haven't met this person. I got connected through them through someone else in the office. It was an investor that they had cultivated the relationship forever. You're going to get help in the beginning. And while you're building up your story, you're building up your confidence. Other people are getting that shared built up confidence in you. They're like, well, he did a 12-plex. Let's see how long it takes him to lose it. What? He did another one. What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
And you get less and less help from those individuals in your sphere. And now people just want to work with you, and they're willing to lend it to you because you're paying them monthly cash flow. You're paying them the loan. They don't have to worry about it because they get the property if you fail. And so these people that you never knew now find you. A lot of my sphere I did not find, they found me because of the stuff that I got help on in the beginning. And that is where the money is coming from now. So that 300, I didn't get any of that money from anyone I knew 2 years ago. All the people I've met because I bought my 12-plexes, and I couldn't have bought my 12s without getting help from other people that had done this before. So it's the importance of working with others, asking for help. Those are multiple deals that I purchased for no money down.
When you were finding those properties, right? Did you use the MLS or were you still using Google, like Google Maps?
Some of them were MLS, and some of them were Google Maps. And I don't know why Bigger Pockets said all my stuff was on the market. I don't believe I told them that, but 50 of the 81 apartment units that I own today were on the market, and 31 of them were off.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And so what a lot of these guys, whenever it comes to like I'm not an agent, right? But that means like I can't even talk to the seller, right? I can't, only my agent can. So what would you recommend to those like, hey, I'm trying to talk to the person I'm trying to get to the direct source, talking to the owner. How would you get that?
Then you're not going to go. You probably won't go through the MLS on that. I've gotten permission from the broker and from the owner to talk just with the owner. So that I've just had to ask, and you ask enough times, you'll get it. But that said, for the off-market stuff, I mean, direct to owner, I just found them on Google Maps, found the properties, and then looked up who owned them and found a way to contact them. That's the way to do it. It's easier that way than it is on the MLS.
Okay. And do you still, whenever they say no, they don't want to meet up with you, do you just like leave it like that, or do you just do you leave it like that and just go on to the next property, or are you still trying to be consistent with that property?
I'll be consistent. I mean, if I'm calling you up and you don't know who the heck I am, you're probably not going to give me the time of day. So if I follow up with that in a few weeks and then they're like, no, I'm actually not interested. And then you call them again in a month, like eventually it's easier for them to just book the meeting where you can actually share your story and why you're doing what you're doing, the reason you're calling them, why it's so important. I mean, now it's a little bit easier. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But they just think you're a voice on the other end of the phone.
yeah, definitely. And whenever let me look at this. And so it's 2022, right? What is your goal for 2022 for now and for the next 5 years?
This year is all about my mom.
Nice.
Moving forward, though, scale up the businesses. My outlook on it is I'm gonna have $1 billion worth of real estate without syndicating when I'm 35. And if I miss it, I don't think it'll matter at that point. Like the money won't matter if I miss it. But I'm calling my shot and I'm gonna get there because if I get to $1 billion in real estate, I'll probably have 750 million to 700 million in debt, 300 million in equity, which those numbers you make about 100 and or shoot 15 to 18 million a year in cash flow, and that allows me to go help a lot of people's families out.
Yeah,
So
that's true. We're gonna go to the question round now. That's where this is when the guys here are gonna ask you like a question or their personal thought. We're gonna start with Sami here. Sami,
Okay.
go ahead.
Hello, my name's Sami.
Hey,
Uh,
nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too. I had a question. So when you said you were like meeting with people, so is your goal to like when you like the type of relationship you're aiming for? Are you aiming for like a friend to friend type of thing, like a master to like a teaching a student type of thing, or like how do you come at it? Would you say?
I mean, it's different every once in a while. Some of them I'm being the student, a lot of them I'm being a student, but I could be a student and a friend at the same time. It doesn't have to just be one or the other.
Oh, okay.
So
Do you have any other
yeah.
questions, Sami?
No, I'm pretty good.
Okay.
Still just curious.
What are you, Josh?
One question I actually two. They should be pretty short. One was, what were some tools you used to help you come to where you are today? Like if it was a book or some type of mentor. Sorry, I missed like 10 minutes. And then the other one is, how do you manage all your time now that your schedule seems to be, that now that you are where you are in your life?
Yeah, I like those. For the timepiece, I mean, my schedule is pretty hectic, but I live by the commit first, figure the rest out later model. So I'm gonna make a commitment to giving everything I can to what I'm working on at the time I'm working on it. And so your first point, the tools or the resources. I had a mentor who helped me get started, and we ended up splitting apart. I learned that people who get you to where you're at today are not going to get you to the next level necessarily. Like that just they could be the right person for you when you're getting started, but they can't take you to the next level you need to go to. So finding a mentor is really important, more so than just about anything. But someone who's trying to help you scale up to your why, not just scale up to some target that you set. Someone who's going to make you actually think, be proactive, and work on the business, not just in the business, right? If you're the business, you don't just work every day, but how do you take stuff away from what you're doing? And how do you improve? How do you grow? How do you learn and become more efficient? Whenever I get out of a conversation, I get out of something like this, I get out of a meeting, my first question is, what did I get out of that? And I'm not asking, or not asking myself, like physically what I get out of it, but what did I take away? What did I learn from that encounter? And you can learn from every single encounter you have, even if you think that it was a waste of time or didn't learn anything. You can always take away something. So I always to try and build on my skills that way. And I found it's a little self-development process that I put on myself. But I wouldn't worry about all these fancy tools that people put out there. I would just try and build on yourself a little bit every day.
Yeah, that's what Brandon Turner told me too, because I would ask him like, hey, what are the tools that you use, right? And he was like, well, it doesn't matter what tools you get, it's like what do you use right now? And can you, if it works, right, just keep doing it over and over again, because you don't need to get a new tool for that. Just do what works for you right now, and then you'll just be successful with that.
Yeah.
And what was your other question, Josh? You said time management.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, the time management thing, commit first and figure the rest out later, is about how I live that life, the life. So I book my calendar up, and I'm just gonna try and be as proactive as I can. I'm gonna respond to people as soon as I can, and just be there. Like I need to be present. Got to show up. So my schedule can look hectic, or I've got like 30 things I need to do in one day. People are like, how are you managing that? I'm not. I'm just showing up and doing my best.
Yeah.
I don't manage time. I'm trying to do as much as I can, and I may fall behind a little bit, but people know that when I'm there, I'm there. I'm focused, and I'm prioritizing my time with them, because time is the greatest thing you can give anybody. It's the one thing you cannot get back. So I guess that doesn't really answer your question, but if you get anything out of this, I just put so much into my day, and regardless of where I'm at in the day, whatever I'm doing, I'm present, and I make it a priority.
Mm,
And with all of this like technology, right? A lot of these guys, they get into this procrastination stage, right?
Mhm.
For example, TikTok, right? A lot of these guys will probably like scroll through TikTok for like 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
How do you combat like uh, procrastinations or resistance? What do you do for your fear? Like, what are you like? Oh, I don't feel like doing. Like, how do you go against that?
I mean, I don't always go against it.
Yeah,
Sometimes I need to unplug, and I'll just go on TikTok, or I'll go on my phone and I'll look at something I maybe shouldn't be looking at. But at the same time, when there's so much going on, sometimes you need to decompress.
of course.
That it, I mean, this stuff's hard. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I've had my hair fall off twice in the back of my head. So um, it's stressful sometimes when you try and do things alone. So it's good to decompress. You don't have to just not consume, absolutes, right? I'm never going to do this, or I'm always going to do this. I'm going to say I'm never going to do anything, because, I'm never going to waste time. Well, that would just be lying to myself. And everybody's going to lie to you, so you can't lie to yourself,
Of course,
So
that's the
right?
truth.
how did you grow it back? I'm very interested in this.
I don't even know. I don't know if you guys can tell, but right here is still bald.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we can see it now. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just dumb. I lost hair on my arms, my legs, back of my head.
That's weird.
I can send you pictures. I didn't know about the back of my head till I went skydiving in Mexico, and the guy had a little GoPro on his wrist, and his arm was out. I was like, what the hell is that? Back of my head was bald. It's terrible. So the stuff's legit, but decompressing is a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. Alex, let's go with your question.
Hey, what's up, man? My name's
Hey,
Alex. Nice to meet you, bro.
nice to meet you.
This is a personal financial question. So, when you started, how was your credit history? Did you start off bad? Was it good? Was it good scores? And if it was not, how did you improve yourself, improve your credit and yourself to help your business and help yourself out?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I had a very good credit, history. I had a $500 secured credit card. I made 500 bucks, gave it to the bank, and they gave me a $500 credit card. So I used that to pay for gas and stuff. But to this day, I haven't used my credit for business. Everything's been seller financed, so I've never once had to use my credit.
That's cool. Thank you, bro.
Right there. All right, we're gonna go with David here. David, your question.
All right. So do you do anything mentally or physically to help you stay on task or stay focused?
I just keep my goals in mind. For me, it goes back to family. Every moment that I spend that's a distraction from what I'm doing takes away from my ability to take care of my mom this year. So I put time constraints on my targets. I don't know if you can relate to that. Like, I don't know what everyone's goals are on this call, but I hold mine as a top priority, because otherwise, like, why am I even doing this? So mental stuff is like, I just keep reminding myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I pushing so hard? Why does this matter so much? Oh yeah, I get to do this, this, and this, and then I get to help a whole bunch of other people do the same thing. Constant reminders, because it's hard when you see other people spending their money going on trips or doing the nice car or the things you want to do now that you're sacrificing for, because they don't realize what they're sacrificing in the long term. So you just got to keep reminding yourself that it's not easy, which is why most people don't do it. But it's worth it. And those daily affirmations and reminders are what keep me on track. This is not easy, but if you have something that's really important to you, hold that close, because you need it. At least I did. I needed it because I almost quit multiple times. This thing is so hard. To go this fast is hard. It would have been easier to stop after a deal or two, but that wouldn't allow me to go do what's really important, help others. So whatever your goal is, hold that close and don't give it up for anything.
Yeah, it always goes back to your big why, right, David? Like, why are you getting up in the morning? Like, it's just your big why. For Cody right here, his big why is his mom. So, and the people he wants to help out in the future.
Mhm. Thank you. Appreciate you for sharing.
You bet. I appreciate you being here.
All right, Devin, what's your question?
All right. I just had a couple of things I wrote down throughout the meeting.
Go ahead.
Shouldn't take too long.
Let's roll.
Cody. First one was what is the most efficient way to learn real estate investing? Is it experience? Is it books, or is it both?
And is greater than or.
That makes sense. And for the last one is, how do I determine the value of an investment property?
Think of it as an investor. Take a step back. If something makes money, it has some value, right? Because people want to make money.
Right.
If it makes more money, it's worth a little bit more. Just think of it as a person in a company. This is the big debate with the inequality and gender pay for some of the sports stuff, right? A lot of people get really, really frustrated with the gap between the pay between men and women, and they're blaming the organization instead of just throwing more support to the female group so that there's more eyes on it. They make more money from ads, and then it can compensate them more. The more money something produces, the more valuable it is to the next person. So if you can increase the monetization, if you can increase the money it produces, this is just the planet we're on, it's worth more to the next person. And you can pay more and get the same return. So the way that you value something like this on an investment is you look at, okay, how much money does it pay me every year? It's always on a yearly basis. And this is
Yearly.
net income. If it, let's say like you could blow this money, right? It's not talking about putting, you got your gross income before expenses. We're looking at net income after you pay for the roof and after you pay for the terrible tenants that stole your pipes and, and sold the copper, after all the repairs and the management, what's it actually put in your pocket that you can blow on whatever you want? You're going to just divide that number. It's called net income, divided by whatever percentage someone's willing to pay for it. Let's say you make 8% in the stock market or 6%. Well, let's say you take 6%, you divide your net income by 6%, and boom, you have a value.
Mm,
This is the beautiful part about it. On a rental, if I increase rent $100, that's $1,200 a year in new income. If I have 10 units, like a 10plex, that's $12,000 of new income a year. If I divide that on a 6% return, I made $200,000. And I'm not just trying to be the mean landlord that's raising rent. I'm finding the opportunities where the rent hasn't been raised in 30 years.
hmm
And I'm just trying to bring it close to market rent. I'm doing this on a 38plex. Average market rent is $1,000. Some of these people are paying $300-$400, and they've never been raised. And so I'm going to them. I'm trying to help get them on rental assistance and bring them up to $700 and have the rental assistance pay for the gap. Because if I can increase the income, I increase the value. And I don't want to just charge them more. Like if I can get the government to help pay for it, then now there's an opportunity where their life isn't really affected because they stopped working forever ago. They thought $300 rents were going to be around forever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're not.
hmm
But you start making that much more money every month across 38 units, you make a lot of money. If you take $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year, 6% return, you make $20,000 per rental apartment in value on a 6% return. Crazy, right? If you rent an apartment like I am and they raise rent on you
Yeah.
$100, you look at it and like, oh, there's 300 units here. Well, you pull out a calculator and you're like, okay, they're raising rent $100 on 300 units. They make 30 grand a month in new money, and their expenses didn't go up just because they raised rent. That's 360 grand a year, 6% return. They just made $6 million by raising rent on you $100. So what seems like not a lot to you just made them 500 grand a month in value, $6 million. Boom. And then they're going to do it again next year. And it's not because they're being mean, but it's because of inflation.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
So if you can be on that side of the equation, it gets pretty dang powerful. That is how you value an investment.
Thank you, Cody. Thank
You bet.
Anybody else have any more questions? Okay. So we're gonna go with my 3 questions, all right, before we end it, Cody.
Let's roll.
So let's say you're a new guy, right? You're trying to get a property. What would you say for guys like, yeah, they have a real estate agent looking for them, but they're not getting those good deals, right? Would you say they should do what you do, where like you go through you just go and like look around and see if you can find those good properties at like those like a good, what I would say a good deal would be like a burr investment, right? So would you look for those burr investments and like be like, hey, can I you find the owner of that house or that multifamily or that apartment building, like, hey, can I have lunch with you or breakfast with you, right?
Yeah.
Would you say to do that? Or like how would you say for a young guy right now, he's trying to look for a good deal, how would you find that good deal? What would you do?
I would stop trying to buy deals and I'd start cultivating relationships.
Okay.
Go do what other people won't do. everyone wants to buy stuff. I'm like, it's cool that you want to buy, but nobody wants to sell anything. People hate to be sold.
Yeah,
They love to buy though, so it goes back to that little drill. If you know people love to buy and they hate to sell, get them to buy into you. And you do that through the significance of why you're doing what you're doing. But you can't share that story until you get to the table. So you got to go book these meetings. You got to go learn from people
yeah,
and get them to buy into who you are. Because everybody on this call has a different story than me and a different story from each other. Guarantee it. So you got to figure out how to use that and get really good at sharing your story. Because
yeah.
that's how you're going to book meetings.
So you,
Everyone here is going to have a different background based on where they grew up. Maybe it's just the environment they grew up in. Maybe they were you were a foster child. Maybe you didn't have any parents around. Maybe you lived with grandparents. Maybe you dropped out of high school. Maybe you had a kid way too early. Then you couldn't take care of them. Everyone's going to have a different story. But if you can use that to go get these meetings, someone's going to resonate with it and someone is going to want to help you. And they're going to give you opportunities that are unfair. Someone said, I've got an unfair advantage. It's true because I go get help from people that want to help me. I have an unfair advantage over everybody that's buying in the market I'm buying in because people buy into who I am. It's not fair. But there are opportunities like that for everybody. And you just got to go get your own unfair advantage where people can't compete. Be the best at something on this planet that's sharing your story.
yeah, that's good right there. Yeah, you just want to book people. And the one thing, when you said that, how long does it take for you to like? Is it like multiple? You have to set up multiple meetings, or is it like one is good enough? Because again, you're trying to find multiple people. You're trying to connect with multiple people, right? Is it?
Not transactional. If you think of it in one and twos, it's going to be
Mhm.
transactional. This is a
Gotcha.
long-term commitment.
So you're already committed to that person no matter what.
Yeah, when I'm there, like I mentioned, I'll bring the energy. When we're working on something, I'm there.
Yeah,
The fact that they gave me time out of their day is an honor. That's why I respect everyone being here because time is something you can't get back.
of course. And we respect that you came here with your knowing that your time as well, Cody.
I'm
And
just I'm glad that I can make an impact. Like I mentioned, I gotta I gotta take care of my mom before I can help other people take care of theirs. But the fact that I can help people out today and be here to help you guys means a lot
yeah,
because that
you
advances my goals a lot.
you definitely changed my perspective of how to like think of people now. It's like instead of one and twos, you can start thinking of it as like a long term connection. Even if like even people would say like, well, they're not giving you any information. Like you said before, like even though I give 100% and they give you 0%, well, why would you need to go lower, right? You just stay as you are. You just keep going higher, right? Give 110%, 120%, right?
Yeah, and people are gonna get emotionally tied to that. They're like, well, they're not being fair. They're not reciprocating. I'm like, they don't need to reciprocate. When you get emotional about stuff, your passion gets in the way. I'm like, passion's great, but it shouldn't come before principle, right? Principle should come first. What is the right thing to do? No matter how emotionally charged the situation is, put your principles before the passion. Because your passion can get you in trouble if you violate what is the right thing to do. What are your core beliefs? Why would you violate that
Yeah,
just because someone else doesn't respect you the same way you respect them?
yeah. Oh yeah, you changed all of our point of views on how to see like how to do business now, Cody. We do appreciate that. Uh, where would you point towards people that what references would you point towards people like to improve or learn new skills? What would you recommend?
I mean, it depends which skills you want to get, but
Mhm.
the at the end of the day, I mean, everyone can go learn different skills. The the simplest way I've ever heard this is the quickest way to be a real estate investor is to go invest in real estate. The quickest way to go be a school teacher is to go be a school teacher. The quickest way to be a car salesman is to go sell cars.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best at it, but the quickest way to go build a skill is to just go do it. Stop talking about it. So, whatever the skill is that you want to develop, I don't care if you suck at it. I sucked at everything when I started, and I'm still getting better at a lot of things. It looks polished when you see it on Bigger Pockets because they edit stuff, and I came prepared, and I know my story, and I know what I'm looking to present. But there's a lot behind the curtain that you don't see.
Yeah.
So don't worry about being, perfect. Because if you're trying to be perfect, you're going to lie to yourself somewhere along the way. And if you remember the saying I said earlier, everybody's going to lie to you. Don't lie to yourself. And whether that's true or not, whether everyone actually lies to you or not, it's mainly about the second point. Don't lie to yourself. You got to be able to trust yourself. You got to be able to tell yourself the truth all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the gist of
No,
that
that's a good
conversation.
answer right there. That is a good answer. And one last one, Cody. What books would you recommend for either business, self-improvement, like real estate, whatever, right? Go ahead. You already said Rich Dad Poor Dad, so you can't even say that. So go
Okay, I'm not allowed to say that again.
ahead.
10X Rule is a great book. Grant
Agree.
Cardone.
Yeah.
You want to learn about a little bit about the real estate stuff, creative finance, look up there's a book called it's by Lonnie Scruggs, Deals on Wheels. Skinny little book. But that's a pretty creative book. Some people give it crap because they're like, it's so simple. I already knew all this. It's like, if you already knew all of it, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that here anymore. I built a lot of my principles off of that book. So the idea is you go buy, let's say, a mobile home, and this was in the 90s, so prices were a little bit lower, but you could still do this today and um, in communities that are a little bit rougher. You go buy a mobile home for, let's say, 10 to 15 grand cash somewhere that's kind of out there. Maybe you're doing this in Mississippi. I don't know. A lot of the people that are living there in those communities don't qualify for anything. I mean, they're not going to qualify for financing. Maybe they have a little bit of money saved up in their mattress and they're probably going to pay you cash. But the idea is you go buy it for 15 grand cash, you sell it to them for 30 grand and you have them put 5 grand down. You get 33% of your money back day one. Now they're making payments on it. You're starting to flip deals. You're making money, but you're giving someone an opportunity that they would never have to own something. You are being the bank for them and you're getting paid interest on it. So you can go purchase something cheap for cash and sell or finance it to the next person. And if they stop paying you, you take it back and do it again.
Yeah.
So that's a little creative book you can do on smaller scale. The idea is micro transactions. Think of it like you went to the coffee shop with a buddy, left your wallet in the car. They said, don't worry about it. They pay for it's $4. You go back out, you hand them a $5 bill. You don't think about it because it's just a small deal, but they turned 4 into 5, and that's a 25% return in minutes. You're just like, thanks. Microtransactions. That's a good book to read.
Transaction or the wheels?
A Deals on Wheels, Lonnie Scruggs. It's all about microtransactions.
Okay. I like how you do think of everything as percentage though. That's pretty clever of you. But yeah, thank you, Cody, for coming out here. We're a group that focuses on finances and self-improvement as well. If you need any help, if you need any, do you want to shout out anything like what you're gonna like again your shout out your YouTube, anything else that you want to shout out?
I mean, if you guys want to keep in touch, don't be a stranger. I'm always a text away. If you want to add me on Instagram, it's just Cody D 2020. So
Yeah.
I'm easy to reach. I will respond. If you want to follow along on the YouTube, that'd be cool. trying to figure that thing out. I don't know that like I know real estate, but I know I'm committed to sharing information with people. So I'll figure it out someday.
If you need an editor, we got editors here that can help you out with your YouTube. Anything that you need, Cody, we got you. All right.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out. But if you guys have questions or thoughts and ideas you want to run by me, just reach out.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You bet. Appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you, Cody. We'll see you later. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye.
Appreciate it.